Alright, so I got a couple videos to do, but I got to print another page out first. Well, Lindsey Williams did an interview yesterday, I think is when I got it. I don't know if he did the interview in the morning or how, but I got it yesterday. Where he's a lot more clear on what's coming in the next 3 or 4 months. He kept saying it wasn't still not the big financial collapse, but it'll be kind of the start of it with some major things happening regarding finances. Very interesting. Makes a bunch of points, and I've got them written down on a paper that I don't have in front of me right now, so I'm gonna have to do a second video. However, I have found, thanks to a subscriber sending me this, a Washington Post, which you know is an elitist organization, paper, news agency, etc. And in October, I think 25th, yes, October 25th, 2012, Mr. Grady Means writes an article. Keep in mind, October 25th, 2012. We're fixed to be in 2014. And this is so interesting. Headline, Grady Means, U.S. economy on schedule to crash March 2014. I'm sorry, when did Lindsey Williams say some stuff was about to start happening? 3 or so months? Okay, that's right around March. This was written in 2012. The doomsday clock. Well, those wild and crazy Mayans may have put down their marker that the end of the world would occur on December 21st, 2012, about 2 months from now. There is, of course, some small chance that they might be right. On the other hand, there's a very large probability that the real end of the world will occur around March 4th, 2014. The doomsday clock will ring then because the U.S. economy may fully crash around that date, which will, in turn, bring down all world economies and all hope of any recovery for the foreseeable future. Certainly over the course of most of our lifetimes. Interest rates will skyrocket, businesses will fail, unemployment will go to record levels, material and food shortages will be rampant, and there could be major social unrest. Any wishful thinking that America is in a recovery and that things are getting better is an illusion. Now already there's some keywords that got my attention, because Lindsey Williams said, and I've already discussed this earlier this year, that they did a little test run on June, around the 18, 19, 20th, that weekend. Like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday, they set the interest rates, the interbank lending rate, back down to where it was to stop global economic collapse from taking place then. And they only bumped it up a little bit as a test. And I went and looked up every single stock chart that's of major countries, from the Hang Seng to Japan stock market to our stock market to the GAX stock market over in Europe. And on that time frame, when they did this little test back in June 21st, 2nd, whatever, I noticed a significant drop in all stock markets across the world. And then I read news articles saying this better, not continue Monday morning or it's going to be in big trouble. And it got cleaned up, just as the guy told Lindsey Williams. It's just a test, it'll be fixed by Monday. And it was. But they had this test, as Lindsey said, they had to test to see how they could go about bringing all the world's economies down in unison. Just at the same time. And that was the key. And it worked. They saw what they needed to see and they put it back the way it was. So here's an article saying it will bring down all world economies and all hope of any recovery for the foreseeable future. This guy must know something. Let's keep reading. The problem is not Medicare, which won't quit on us for another 6 or 7 years, nor is it Social Security, which won't be bankrupt fully for another 15 years or so. The crisis is much more immediate and much more serious. The central problem is that America is the bank of the world. What this means simply is that the dollar is the world's reserve currency, often termed just reserve currency. Throughout the world, nearly all traded goods, oil, major commodities, real estate, etc., are denominated in dollars. The world needs dollars, and the U.S. provides them and provides confidence that the dollar is the safest currency in the world. Countries get dollars by trading with us on attractive terms, which enables Americans to live very well. Countries support this system and cover their risk by investing in dollars through T-bills or treasury auctions and other mechanisms, which enables us to run budget deficits up to a point. The central issue is confidence in America, and the world is losing confidence quickly. At a certain point soon, the U.S. will reach a level of deficit spending and debt at which the countries of the world will lose faith in America and begin to withdraw their investments. Haven't I already said a bunch of times that China and Japan were first and second coming to the T-bill window, buying all of our treasuries? That changed at the end of 2011, and in 2012, and now 2013, they're releasing the numbers of who's number one buyer, and number one buyer of our own debt is our own Federal Reserve Bank. Last year, they did 60%. This year, or 2011, they were purchasing 60% of all treasury auctions. 2012, they were purchasing 70% of all treasury auctions. You mean to tell me only 30% of the world, or 30% of these auctions, are the rest of the world wanting our dollar? Yeah, that's exactly what that is. So that's exactly what this guy's talking about. So it's at certain point soon, the U.S. will reach a level of deficit spending and debt at which the countries of the world will lose faith in America and begin to withdraw their investments. That's already happening and skyrocketing further and further. Many leading economists and bankers think another $1 trillion or so may do it. A run on the bank will start suddenly, build quickly, and snowball. At that point, and he's talking probably about the central bank. Well, no. I mean, he did say a run on the bank. And he may be just talking about people cashing out of our dollars, basically, in a hurry, is probably what he's referring to. At that point, we will need to finance our own debt. Yeah. And we will not be able to do so. We will raise bond rates to reattract foreign investment. Interest rates will go up and businesses will fail. Unemployment will skyrocket. The rest of the world will fully crash along with us. Europe will continue to decline and the euro will not replace the dollar. Russia will see a collapse in oil prices as market demand softens, and Russia will collapse along with it. China will find nowhere to export and also will collapse. The Russian and Chinese governments will see all this coming and have been stockpiling gold to hedge against such a dollar collapse. Will find that you cannot eat gold. There will be uprisings. Think of the streets in Spain and Greece today, everywhere. Technological advances that traditionally drive productivity increases and economic growth will not be able to keep up with this collapse. When might this all happen? Paul Volcker, ex-Fed head, Federal Reserve head, Paul Volcker indicates we might face a mess like this in the next year and a half, meaning early 2014. David Walker, former U.S. comptroller, has suggested similar time frames for economic catastrophe. Most agree that the budget sequestration approach won't work from either economic or political perspectives, and mindless across-the-board cuts and spending will only exacerbate a mess. Can't stop spending. Oh, no, never. The Federal Reserve's third round of quantitative easing, in which we print money to buy our own bonds in order to goose economic and unemployment numbers, means we are floating our own debt, a good formula for sudden hyperinflation. The next president will have about 6 months. Keep in mind, he's talking about the next president back in 2012. We know that is now Obama. So, the next president will have about 6 months to fix this problem before it's too late. And did they do anything other than raise the debt ceiling some more, have more spending taking place since 2012? Yes, then it is too late, according to this man. He must be fully prepared, able and willing to work with Congress and move quickly and decisively. During the election, the most important question to ask is who understands all of this and is prepared to prevent it. Everything else is noise. Well, this was 2012. We're in 2013, almost 2014. They've spent like drunken sailors. They've increased the national debt again. and it was temporary just till February or so. Oh, really? You don't suppose they want it up till that time frame so the whole damn thing can collapse, and then they can say, oh, now we really got to raise it. Like, no more limits. Let's just go crazy because we're experiencing a crash right now. Could be. Now, here's the part that told me this is exactly what Lindsey Williams was talking about. This is exactly a hint from the elite to anybody who's reading this. Like Lindsey says, they always have to tell you what they're going to do to you in advance. It's some kind of little thing they follow, right? This is it. Number one, it's the Washington Post, elitist organization. And it's written by this man, Grady Means. And in the little side note of who Grady Means is, I read this. Grady Means is a businessman, former assistant to Vice President Nelson Rockefeller. Say no more. And former economist at the U.S. Department of Health, Education, and Welfare. I rest my case. This goes exactly, perfectly, hand in hand with what Lindsey Williams has just said. The odd thing is, when I do this other video, keep in mind that even in this interview, once again, he kept referring to Obamacare being fully implemented, which means 2015 sometime, for the full-out blown collapse. But he did say there will be things happening in the next few months that will precede it and will be visibly noticed, basically, economic in nature, major problems. You may see this as basically the beginning of the end, but the end won't come until 2015, apparently. He kept saying that, and he also is doing some more beating around the bush where he's trying desperately to say something without saying too much, because he can't. And it's obvious he can't, and he even says it a few times that he can't. But when he can, he'll try to say it as soon as he can. But if he keeps beating around the bush, saying, yeah, we've got till 2015 till Obamacare is fully implemented, and then in the next breath saying, you still have a few months left, I don't know what the hell that means, other than you better be prepared, you better have your gold and silver around before the next few months. And right now, with prices the way they are, it's very good. However, if a global economic collapse starts taking place in a few months, and markets start dropping, historically, commodities drop with them because they are traded on Wall Street, the COMEX, etc. However, when you see a bank like JP Morgan and some other large entity out there buying futures contracts for the year 2015 with a strike price of $3,000 for gold, and now JP Morgan, we know it's JP Morgan, has cornered the gold market based on the COT reports, clearly has cornered the market. That means they're ready for a rise. But that doesn't mean that the price can't collapse a little more further before going up. So, does that mean if you're thinking about buying gold and silver, maybe I ought to wait a little bit? Maybe I should wait for this collapse to happen. Because if prices get smashed even further, man, I could have a really good pile of gold or silver on my hands. To me, if you don't have any, it's not worth the risk. Go and get some now. The prices are really good right now, especially, $19, $20 silver. Come on, prices are great. If you already have some and think I've already met my goals, I've got what I want, but I could actually buy a little more, you may want to wait and see. I don't know. Because one other thing Lindsey Williams said is when everyone else is trying to buy gold and silver, it's going to be hard to do that. The elite will be getting theirs, but the average person is going to have a very difficult time getting theirs. That's what he said. The problem is he referring to, and I don't think he even knows, is he referring to the big collapse that's allegedly going to happen in 2015, or the mini starting collapse that starts in a few months? Is that when they're going to start stockpiling gold and silver, and the rest of us are going to have a hard time getting it, or is it in 2015? Don't know, and to tell you the truth, I really don't care. Because you got to be stacking silver. This whole time you should have been stacking silver, all these years that have gone by. Back when, like I've said before, I remember getting Silver Eagles when they smashed it in 2000, was it early 09, I think? After the big, the big banking fiasco, TARP funds, 2008 crash. And, man, silver was 10 bucks. I went and bought a bunch of Eagles at that time with a friend. So, you know, it went to 13, 15, 18, 20, 30, 40, 45, almost 50. Then it backed down, 30s again, 20s. Now we're at $19 and $20. If someone has a strike price for gold futures contracts in December, or well, I don't know what month, but in 2015, that means, and it's $3,000 at the strike price they chose. That is exactly to the T of the price of gold that Lindsey Williams said the elite will want it at when they do this, collapse. Which also means, what did he say about the price of silver? They wanted it somewhere between $75 and $100. I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to assume it's going to be the 100, because there will be panic setting in to own precious metal. So it's going to go to the higher price. It has to. And if it's $20 right now, that's 5 times the value it's going to be going to in the near future, as in the next year or so, 2 years maybe. So, don't you want to start collecting now to make sure you're kind of set? Again, you should have been doing this the last several years, cost averaging. Just keep buying silver, a little bit here, a little bit there. The price goes up, just keep buying. Price goes down, keep buying. And then you see where you're at the end of the day. You got 3, 4, 5, 600 ounces of silver. You know, here's all the times I bought it. Here's where I'm at. I bought in the 10 range, 20 range, the 30 or 40 range. I'm cost average, let's say, you know, $22. And I don't know where I'm at, to tell you the truth. I've checked it back in the day. It was in the low 20s, I believe. But the bottom line is, just keep stacking. And if you want to play again with the Bitcoin and the Litecoin stuff on the side with additional cash, don't touch your silver, go for it. That's exactly what I'm doing. So I got one more video to do when I get that little sheet of it's like 6 or 7, 8 things that I wrote down out of his interview that were new information that I want to share with you, talking about Lindsey Williams. That goes hand in hand with the video I just did yesterday about what he said on his website. So I will share that also. Take care.